Hello, and welcome back to my podcast. Today is only the second episode. Sorry, it's been a while since I last posted. But I have just finished reading Scythe by Neal Shusterman. I hope I'm saying that correctly. I apologize if I've just butchered the name. But the book is a sort of dystopian novel, and it revolves around the world after mortality has basically been cured, in a sense. So now the only way that people die is if they are murdered, basically, if they are killed. And the word that has been chosen to represent killing in this dystopian world is gleaning. So if someone is gleaned, they've been killed. And this book revolves around two characters, Rowan and Sycthe. They are chosen to be apprentices to a Scythe Faraday. And basically, being a Scythe means that you are in charge of gleaning other people to correct the population. So it's about population control, and there's this thing called the Scythedom. This is the community of scythes throughout the world. So all of the scythes are part of the Scythedom. And there's something called the Thunderhead. The Thunderhead is basically, it replaces the government. It's a replacement for the government. Government and politics and all of that has sort of been annihilated. It's been changed, and so now the Thunderhead is a replacement for government and politics and everything that our world has now. So it's just this one technological advancement that is unbiased. So it works very well for the community. But anyway, Rowan and Sycthe are taken from their lives, from everything they know, and they accept the challenge of being an apprentice. And they spend, I believe, a year with this apprenticeship. And so they have to learn the art of taking life, of killing, basically. They have to study how to kill people. And they learn that living in a perfect world can come with an incredibly heavy price. So there is a lot happening in this book, and it's actually pretty easy to catch on to. It just takes a minute. I'm not doing the greatest job at explaining it. But I definitely recommend the book. It is a trilogy. There are 3 books, and this is just the first one. And I have yet to read the others, but I've just finished this one, and it is incredible. Rowan and Sycthe definitely, they have their own little quirks, and the end of the book is satisfying, a little bit bittersweet, I would say. It is wonderful, incredible. I just 100% would recommend reading this book if you are into dystopian novels. It definitely is a good book for people who like dystopian novels, technological advancements, people who are interested in the psychological effects that that a world without government would be like. It's definitely very interesting in the sense that you learn a lot about what certain things can do to a person's mind and to a person's soul. I did cry. I did cry at one point during this book. I did. So I guess it just depends how attached you can get to the characters, how emotional you might become based on your attachments to said characters. But I did cry at one point in this book. I do not normally cry during books. I don't read a whole lot of sad literature, so I definitely wasn't expecting that. And I will say there are definitely some moments in this book that caught me way off guard. A couple plot twists that totally threw me off. It was very, very captivating, extremely interesting. I did not expect some of the things that happened to happen. They were incredible, and I don't want to spoil too much. I don't want to say too much about this book. I definitely recommend reading it. I gave it 5 stars just because I'm not very picky about my 5-star ratings. Like, if I really like a book, I'm gonna give it 5 stars. I'm not a very harsh reader. I give out 5 stars if the book made me feel like incredible, if I just like loved the plot, the storyline. So I'm not a very harsh reader. So if you have very, very high standards, I don't know what the equivalent of my rating would be to yours, but I just will say that this book was good. It was really, really good. It was a great experience. It did take me a little bit longer than I thought it would to read it. But at a certain point I was able to spend a couple hours and just finish it. It was really good, and there were certain points where I just was so excited that I could not read anymore. Like, I was so excited or so like emotional that I just had to stop. I had to take a break from reading this book and come back to it, just because of how anxious I was to know what happened. And when I get like that, I just cannot read. I have to stop. I have to take a minute. I have to calm down so I can go back into the story. So if you're like me and you need to take a break when reading books, this is one of those books where you would have to do that. Just, fair warning, this will surprise you in certain ways. You might have to stop and take a minute and just like think about what you just read. And I will say you might need to look up a couple things depending on how old you are or just your reading comprehension level. You might have to look up a couple things because it can get a little bit confusing, especially with all the psychological concepts. It can get a little bit confusing, so I would just say there are some parts you need to reread to really understand what they're saying. So, yeah. But this book was incredible. I loved it. I would 100% recommend it. And I will put a little, I will put the name of the book and the author on my channel, so that you can go ahead and search that up and look for that and buy it or rent it from your library or get it on download or whatever way you prefer to read. I definitely recommend reading it. If you love dystopian novels, I definitely do. It is one of my favorite genres, so totally recommend this for us dystopian readers. Anyway, thank you so very much for listening. I hope you have a wonderful day. Happy New Year's. Goodbye.